Bravado once again got their ass kicked. Angel Reese was so bad last night, the announcers calling the game, they were laughing at her performance. Check out some highlights for yourself. Well, KC, you always do this. You select a couple of bad plays and try to convince us that Angel Reese isn't a superstar.
All right, narrative analysts, before we dive into this investigation, I need you to see something that's going to completely change how you view the Angel Reese situation. Did you catch that? The announcers calling the game were literally laughing at Angel Reese's performance. But here's what's about to make your head spin. While everyone's been focused on the mockery and the memes, something completely different has been happening with her actual numbers. And the fact that nobody's talking about this statistical reality? That's not an accident. What's good, everyone? Jax Riley here, and today we're pulling apart one of the biggest unreported stories in WNBA media right now. I've been filtering through the noise, following the digital breadcrumbs, and what I found is going to leave critics absolutely speechless. Because while the mainstream narrative has been focused on Angel Reese's struggles, they've been completely ignoring a statistical improvement that changes everything. Before we connect these dots, I need you to hit that subscribe button if you're ready for the real investigation that cuts through the surface-level takes. Because what I'm about to show you isn't being discussed anywhere else, and it's exactly the kind of insider analysis that reveals what's really happening behind the headlines. Here's our roadmap for this deep dive. First, I'm going to reveal the hidden statistical truth that critics are systematically ignoring. Then, I'll break down the real business intelligence behind Reebok's strategy with Angel Reese. We'll examine the social media patterns amplifying certain narratives, expose the context that's being left out of discussions, and finally, discuss what this pattern reveals about how women's sports coverage actually works. Let me start with something that's going to blow your mind. While everyone's been talking about Angel Reese's struggles, her field goal percentage improved from 39.1% in 2024 to 44.4% in 2025. That's a 5.3 percentage point improvement. And in basketball terms, that's massive. But here's what really tells you everything about how narratives get constructed in sports media. This improvement is measurable, verifiable, and significant by any basketball standard. Yet somehow, it's been completely overshadowed by highlight reels of missed shots and social media commentary. The temperature of the online conversation suggests something deeper is happening here. When statistical improvements, this substantial, get buried under viral moments, you have to ask yourself, what story are we really being told, and why? Official sources won't tell you this, but if you follow the digital breadcrumbs, the data reveals a completely different picture than what dominates the conversation. Now here's where this investigation gets really interesting. While people have been speculating about Angel Reese's commercial viability, let me tell you what actually happened with her Reebok situation. Angel Reese signed a multi-year contract extension with Reebok in October 2024. Not a reduction, not concerns about performance, an extension. And it includes something that only one other WNBA player has ever received: a signature shoe release planned for 2026. Reading the signals from Reebok's actual business strategy reveals something fascinating that the surface-level analysis is missing entirely. This isn't just about Angel Reese as an individual player. It's about Reebok's larger basketball comeback plan. When Reebok CEO Todd Krinsky was asked about Angel Reese recently, he said she embodies that same spirit as basketball icons like Shaq and Allen Iverson. Does that sound like a company that's concerned about performance metrics?
To bring in talent to grow Reebok and have people wear it again because no one does. So one of his genius decisions was this: fucking signing her, Angel Reese. If you don't know who she is, she's the queen of like fish out of water going after a rebound that she shot herself and can get in the net ever. She reminds me of a 3-year-old shooting on those little kids' nets and throwing the ball and just completely.
Now, that's the kind of harsh criticism that's been driving the narrative around Angel Reese, focusing on coordination issues and missed shots. But here's what this analysis missed when it was recorded. The statistical reality was already shifting in her favor. Here's the angle nobody's covering. Reebok has brought in Shaquille O'Neal as basketball president, and his strategy involves positioning Angel Reese as the cornerstone of their basketball resurgence. They're not just maintaining their relationship, they're doubling down on it. I've been connecting the dots, and what emerges is a pattern of how certain stories get amplified while others get buried. Statistical improvements don't generate the same engagement as viral failure moments, and that creates a systematic bias in what information reaches the public. Let me break down what's really happening with Angel Reese's performance trajectory. Yes, she struggles with close-range shots, converting only 32.7% within 5 feet, which ranks among the lowest efficiency rates for high-volume paint scorers. But that's only part of the story. The broader improvement trend shows that the technical work she's been putting in is actually paying off. Her overall offensive efficiency has been steadily climbing, suggesting measurable development that contradicts the prevailing narrative. So what's fact and what's speculation? Let's break it down. The improvement from 39.1% to 44.4% is verified and significant. The idea that this improvement doesn't matter because of viral moments? That's where the bias starts showing.
Had a good game, 22 points, 13 rebounds, but she shot terribly. She got bailed out so many times, throwing up brick layups, getting phantom foul calls from the refs. She did make 10 of 11 free throws, so that is good. 6 of 16 from the floor is not good at all. 0 of 1 from 3. She was a minus 11. Listen, man, Kiki area fan got.
Look at that statistical breakdown. 22 points, 13 rebounds, but shot terribly according to this analysis. Here's what's fascinating. It acknowledges the production while criticizing the efficiency. But we're seeing exactly that efficiency improve in 2025, which changes the entire evaluation. The thing about data is that it doesn't care about your preconceptions or your viral moments. Numbers don't lie, even when narratives prefer certain interpretations. Here's something that's going to make you question everything about how information spreads in sports discourse. There's an entire social media ecosystem built around Angel Reese lowlight compilations.
There's a dude on the internet who cracks me up. On TikTok, he's put together a load of Angel Reese clips, and it'll say Angel Reese part 36. And it goes, Angel Reese going up for another layup. She misses, bang! And I mean, dude, it's the funniest. And my whole thing is this, dude. She just seems as uncoordinated as a baby giraffe. Yeah, I mean.
Angel Reese, part 36. Let that sink in. When someone can create 36 parts of low-light content, you have to ask yourself, is this still basketball analysis, or has it become entertainment that profits from struggle? The narrative temperature mapping shows that negative content consistently outperforms improvement stories in terms of engagement, and when there's a financial incentive to keep certain narratives going regardless of statistical reality, you start understanding the information ecosystem we're dealing with. I've been filtering out the noise, and the signals point to something troubling. Improvement doesn't go viral the way mockery does, and that tells you everything about the attention economy surrounding women's sports. Now, this is where the investigation gets uncomfortable, because what I've discovered isn't just about basketball or business decisions. There's a documented harassment campaign targeting Angel Reese that has racial undertones, and it's amplifying every piece of negative information about her. Okay, now let's get into rumor territory. Nothing is officially confirmed, but the online chatter is too loud to ignore about the coordinated nature of some of this criticism. When her teammate, Ariel Atkins, publicly states that the amount of negativity she faces daily is immense, and specifically mentions that this is a 23-year-old young woman, you start understanding the context that's being systematically left out of basketball discussions. The temperature of the online conversation suggests that what we're seeing isn't just organic criticism of a basketball player's performance. When legitimate basketball analysis gets mixed with harassment that goes way beyond sports, it distorts the entire information landscape. Speaking of information distortion, we need to address the Caitlin Clark comparison that keeps dominating discussions, because this is where the economic reality of the situation gets really revealing.
Washington Mystics just put belt to ass on Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky. Sonia Citron was out there cooking with hot grease. Stir the pot, stir the pot. Keep cooking, Sonia. That was a show. She put on a flat-out show versus Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. Boy, did they ruin Angel Reese's.
This ticket price situation, dropping from $100 to $5 when Caitlin Clark got injured, reveals something important about the WNBA's current star, system and market dynamics. Angel Reese generates interest through rivalry and comparison, but her individual drawing power is still developing. But here's what this analysis missed. The Clark-Reese dynamic consistently generates 2.7+ million viewers, making them the most watched WNBA matchups. Even when the narrative is critical, these matchups drive engagement because viewers are invested in the storyline. Connecting the dots, you realize that Reebok's long-term bet isn't about Angel Reese matching Caitlin Clark's current market appeal. It's about positioning themselves with a player whose star power is still ascending while her statistics are already improving. Reading the signals from viewership data, there's clear evidence that Angel Reese content drives engagement regardless of the narrative angle, which actually supports her marketability in ways that surface-level criticism misses. Here's where my investigation reveals something that goes beyond Angel Reese specifically. What we're seeing is a systematic pattern of how women's sports athletes get covered when they don't fit traditional marketability formulas. The digital breadcrumbs I've been following show that there's a specific template for how female athletes get analyzed. Focus on efficiency metrics over production, amplify viral negative moments over statistical trends, and ignore improvement trajectories that don't fit predetermined narratives. Official sources won't tell you this, but if you examine the coverage pattern, you'll notice that improvement stories don't get the same attention as failure narratives. A 5.3 percentage point shooting improvement should be a bigger story than missed layup compilations, but only one of those generates widespread discussion. The temperature of the online conversation reveals that we've created an information ecosystem where female athletes' struggles get more attention than their development. Based on everything I've uncovered in this investigation, here's what I'm predicting we'll see in the coming months. First, expect the statistical improvement trajectory we've identified to continue, which means critics who have built their analysis around her struggles are going to need new talking points. Second, watch for Reebok to lean even harder into their Angel Reese partnership as their basketball comeback strategy develops. The signature shoe launch in 2026 is just the beginning of a long-term brand-building campaign. Third, the gap between viral narrative moments and statistical reality is going to become impossible to ignore as her shooting percentage continues improving. I've been reading the signals, and what emerges is a future where data-driven analysis starts outweighing engagement-driven commentary in women's sports coverage. Let me connect all these dots for you, because when you see the full picture, it changes how you evaluate everything about the Angel Reese situation. The 39.1% to 44.4% shooting improvement isn't just a number. It's evidence that the work she's putting in is translating to measurable results. Combined with her league-leading rebounding and continued production, it suggests development that critics are systematically undervaluing. Reebok's contract extension with signature shoe development isn't the move of a company concerned about performance. It's the strategy of a brand that sees potential in both her current influence and her improvement trajectory. The harassment campaign context explains why negative narratives get amplified beyond what basketball analysis would justify, and the social media ecosystem reveals the attention incentives for maintaining those narratives regardless of statistical reality. So here's what this entire investigation reveals. While mainstream discussion has focused on Angel Reese's struggles, she's been quietly improving statistically in ways that support major brand investments and challenge prevailing narratives. The pattern we've uncovered here extends beyond Angel Reese to how women's sports athletes get covered more broadly. When improvement stories get overshadowed by viral failure moments, we're not doing sports analysis. We're creating entertainment that may not reflect athletic reality. But here's the most important thing I discovered. When you filter out the noise and focus on the actual data, Angel Reese's trajectory suggests that critics who have built their analysis around her struggles are going to be left speechless as her improvements become undeniable. The narrative analysts who follow this content deserve better than recycled memes and surface-level takes. They deserve investigation that connects the dots, filters out the bias, and presents the statistical reality that others are systematically ignoring. For my narrative analysts out there who appreciate deep dives that cut through the predetermined storylines, this is exactly the kind of content you're going to get when you subscribe and join this community. We don't just follow the viral moments, we investigate the patterns behind them. Drop your thoughts in the comments about what surprised you most in this investigation. Was it the statistical improvement that's being underreported? The Reebok strategy that contradicts speculation? Or the systematic way that improvement stories get buried under viral content? And if this investigation opened your eyes to how information patterns work in women's sports coverage, share this video with someone who needs to see the real data behind the dominant narratives. I'm Jax Riley, and I'll keep connecting the dots that others miss. Until next time, keep questioning what you're being told, and keep demanding the full story.